Now to an attack against freedom, courage and artistic expression. Yesterday on a New York stage, author Salman Rushdie was repeatedly stabbed as he delivered a speech on artistic freedom. Sadly, the news is not good, according to Rushdie's agent Andrew Wiley, who said Salman will likely lose one eye, the nerves in his arms were severed and his liver was stabbed and damaged. For more than 3 decades, Salman Rushdie has lived with a bounty on his head, thanks to the Islamist mullahs of Iran. It was Ayatollah Khomeini who put a fatwa on Rushdie back in 1989 because he had written the Satanic Verses, a novel that extremist Islamists declared blasphemous. Hence, Rushdie had to die. These weren't idle threats. Iran's deranged, bloodthirsty mullahs are the reason why my family fled Iran and why I can never go back. After the fatwa, Rushdie went into hiding for years, but that did not stop the attempts on his life, including an Iranian agent blowing himself up in London. There were bombs planted outside bookshops in Britain owned by Penguin, publisher of the Satanic Verses. Rushdie's Italian translator was attacked with a knife and was lucky to survive. 10 days later, Rushdie's Japanese translator was murdered. His Norwegian publisher was critically injured after being shot repeatedly in Oslo. And these Islamists weren't just motivated by their extremist ideology, but there was a multi-million-dollar bounty on Rushdie's head. Imagine living with that fear day in, day out. And through it all, much of the left abandoned Rushdie. They decried him as an Islamophobe who was responsible for the unhinged reaction his book had caused. After he was repeatedly stabbed in New York, Islamists on social media openly celebrated the attempted assassination. Among them were Iranian government officials. Now, Twitter is banned for the Iranian people, but the government over there are free to use the platform to spread their toxic propaganda abroad. Among those celebrating the attempt on Rushdie's life was member of the Iranian parliament, Malik Shariati, who said the attack should serve as a warning to others and prove the power of Islamic Iran, and was exporting the revolution to the heart of the enemy. Former US President and likely future presidential candidate Donald Trump is banned from Twitter, but Iran's murderous terrorist sponsors are allowed on the platform to celebrate a man being repeatedly stabbed. The Islamic Republic has become particularly emboldened under the weak leadership of President Biden, who seems desperate to reignite their disastrous Iran deal. Last Monday night, I spoke with Iranian dissident Masih Alinejad, whose life is being threatened on US soil. There's already been a foiled kidnapping and now an alleged assassination attempt. What the Ayatollah did all those years ago was pit extremist Islam against Western values of free speech and expression. Sadly, some 30 years later, the West is failing to uphold those ideals. People are being deplatformed and bullied into silence by the regressive left, who have seen offence-taking become an art form. I leave the last words to the man himself. What is freedom of expression? Without the freedom to offend, it ceases to exist. And the moment you declare a set of ideas to be immune from criticism, satire, derision or contempt, freedom of thought becomes impossible.